What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Tech Talk episode. This episode's going to be a little different, as one, you can see we're doing a comparison this time, flagships versus budget phones. This is going to be interesting. I've talked about budget phones before, but this time it's a little different because I have a friend here to help me. Introducing Blaze Maverick. You probably have seen him on this channel before in a Nerf War video. I can't remember if you've been on any other.
I think I've been in something else. I know I've filmed something else, but
I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway.
We'd have to go back and check my videos to remember.
I'm Blaze Maverick. Hello.
You're gonna have to speak up.
So,
the microphone is not the greatest at picking up sound.
So, as he said, we're here to talk about flagship versus budget phones. Given that this wonderful gentleman has a budget phone, clearly I am here with a flagship phone. In this case, the Google Pixel 2. Not Excel. I'm not that rich. So,
and
yes, it's your channel. You should start.
You
can give a point about advantages of the budget phone.
All right. Well, let's start with what phone I have. I have the Moto E4 Plus. Actually, this thing was on a real good budget because, given this, that, and the other thing that occurred during the purchase process, this phone was originally supposed to be $150, but because of deals and this, that, and the other thing again that happened, plus having a gift card with basically free money on it from Walmart, I actually ended up getting this thing with only $13 being paid out of pocket.
That's a killer deal.
Oh yeah. Anyway, budget phones, I'm not sure where to start with this. Well, one of the big differences between the Pixel and my phone is I have a headphone jack. I had to take that jab. Although that jab probably won't be worth much for long because I'm getting a Pixel hopefully soon. Or eventually, whenever I get it. Anyway, my phone would have, do you want to start by just listing off specs of each devices?
Sure.
So, my phone has, I believe, 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, somewhere around there. I can't remember specifically. It's either 1.5, or 2. It has 16 gigs of storage, a 5.5-inch screen. I cannot remember for the life of me what the pixel density is.
Probably
like 720p or something.
720, 1080.
Yeah, something around there. Definitely not 4K by any means. It's got a, I'm trying to think of the specs. It's got a 13 megapixel rear camera.
Do you want to know what processor?
No, I don't know what processor.
Okay. I'd be surprised if they listed it.
They didn't list it on the box. I'd probably have to look that up.
The specs of the Google Pixel 2: 4 gigabytes of RAM, a Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 processor.
That's like the. Which model is that? That's like is that the newest model?
I believe it's the newest one. Or it might.
It can't be the newest one because this phone's like a year old.
Yeah, the 845 is newer. It's a very recent, very good processor. I believe it's one of the Qualcomm Adreno GPUs, but I didn't pay that much attention. I believe same 5.5, maybe smaller. 5-inch screen. 5-inch, not 5.
Definitely
5-inch screen.
Definitely smaller.
Yeah, 5-inch screen on this model. The XL is 6. And it has these 2 stereo speakers on the front firing, so when I'm watching my show or listening to music, it aims at me, not into my hand. Don't know why anyone ever decided it was a good idea to stick them into your hand, but
mine's got a front-facing speaker as well. It's just the one, which interestingly similar to yours. Speaker is also the earpiece.
Yep. I don't have a headphone jack. I hate Apple for starting this evil trend.
Hey, we both have wireless headphones, so it's not like we need a headphone jack.
Wasn't going to use it anyway, but still would have been nice. Plus, it has a 16 megapixel, that sounds about right, rear
no, I
shooter
think it's
on
a 12 megapixel.
12 megapixel rear shooter on the camera, which doesn't sound like a lot, given that I believe the iPhone 8 has like 20, but the pictures are amazing because of Google's software, but we'll get into software later. Right now we're talking about the specs. And USB-C charging.
Micro USB. So I'm a little behind the curve, I believe is the appropriate phrase.
I believe that is the appropriate phrase.
So what do we talk about next? Not sure where to go.
Let's go with software features.
All right.
Hardware. So let's do the software.
All right, software. I'm running stock Android with a few alterations. It is a Motorola phone, and Motorola is known. One of the things they do is they do make like tiny little changes, here and there. I don't have a lot of the nicer changes, like you can like chop the phone like that, like an axe, and it'll turn on the flashlight. Something stock Android doesn't have. But I can't, off the top of my head, I actually can't think which of those this one has. It might just be running straight up stock Android.
I think it's 7 point. It might be 6, but I believe it's 7.
It's running Nougat.
Nougat. So
Nougat?
Android 7.
Nougat. It's running Nougat. But the point is, like, the alterations that Motorola will make to stock Android to make it a better experience. I don't think I really have much of that on here, given it's a budget device.
Did it come with bloatware? Pre-installed apps that you can't take off?
Verizon bloatware, because I got this as a prepaid phone on Verizon, so there was some. But in terms of actual Android bloatware, like Samsung might include, nothing.
Samsung makes good devices. Their hardware is great.
Too many features.
Their software is garbage. Why do you have the Samsung App Store, the Samsung version of every app Google makes?
Well,
really, Samsung. No one needs that. And Bixby.
Oh, Bixby.
To the underworld, Bixby.
No. I wish they would make the Bixby button available so that you can, use Google Assistant. Far better. Google Assistant, in my opinion, is the best assistant there is. Alexa's okay.
Siri knows nothing.
Yeah, Siri
is terrible.
It's terrible.
This was my first Android phone. Siri is the worst. The only time I would ever use Siri, occasionally I'd check the weather, but I could also just do that anywhere else on the phone. And for fun, because Apple knew that their assistant was so garbage, the only reason anyone would ever have a reason to use it would be to say, Siri, can you rap? Or Siri, can you blank, 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 and blank? Just for fun. Because that's what Siri is for. It's not a good assistant. The Google Assistant, beautiful. It answers your questions, and when you ask most assistants something, and the answer it gets from the internet, the Google Assistant reads you, the part that it believes pertains to, of whatever article it finds. Siri's like, I found this on the web. It's like, I could have Googled it on the Google app, if that's all I was going to get from you.
The Google app without Google Assistant would have still done better than Siri.
And then Alexa, have they finally updated Alexa to include internet access yet?
I don't know.
Or is it still... I can't answer that yet.
I don't know. I don't follow Alexa much. All I know about Alexa right now is they have a ton of different Alexa devices. And actually my Bose QC35s, which I live streamed about recently, I read the website not long after that. Alexa is actually supposed to be coming to them.
That's neat. I still think the Google Assistant is a better
assistant. It is obviously
if you're going to have a dedicated button.
And if you have an Android phone, if you have Google Assistant, it connects with all the inner workings.
I'm just waiting for the Echo phone to come out, because Amazon did make a phone a while back, but it performed terribly. The Fire Phone. Only one commercial I ever saw, and it was a bad commercial, and the phone just didn't sell well. But I'm waiting for the Echo phone to come out, because I'm sure it is in the works.
Amazon's goal same thing as Apple. Amazon's goal incorporate as much into your lives as possible.
Yep.
Same thing with Google, but at least Google does a good job at it. No, though, my phone, again, stock Android. Google Assistant, in terms of software, there's really nothing to go crazy about. It's kind of, what I'm about to say is hardware and software. It does have a fingerprint sensor. Again, in terms of software, there's nothing real special. It's a budget phone. It's more minimal. It's got basically what you need, and that's about it.
The Pixel 2 runs Android 8.1 stock. It originally had Android 8.0 Oreo. I believe I am on 8.1 something, 8.1. But the Android P beta has come to the Pixel 2. I personally am I'm not using it because some of the apps I rely on every day have been reported to have fishy problems, but that is just a beta, so you can't blame it for that yet. It does, since we talked about fingerprint sensors, this has a fingerprint sensor in the back. When I first got this, coming from an iPhone with the fingerprint right here, all the time, I would just hold my phone way down at the bottom and so I could do that. And then I'd have to take my other hand to reach the top. Whereas now, I can hold it in a more comfortable position, knowing that it's right there where I want my finger to be in the first place. And that is a very...
Don't break it.
Is a very snappy fingerprint sensor right there.
What, it's supposed to be faster than the iPhone, right?
Much. It's very, very fast. And then,
You don't need...
the best app on the Pixel 2 that Google made, that isn't on most things, is the Google Pixel Launcher's camera app, which is where the amazing photo processing software on the Google Pixel 2 comes from. Plus, unlike any other manufacturer, no other manufacturer does this now. The camera app gets an update with every month, with every update for the phone. So you get a better camera every month when the phone updates, which is something you can't get on anything else. It has a couple other interesting things, like the squeeze for Google Assistant.
Oh, Google Lens. I just remembered that.
There are also a couple other interesting apps that come on it that I personally don't use. Google Pay is supposed to be really good, but I'm a minor, I'm not allowed to use that yet. The Google Photos app is obviously really, really well done. Plus the Google Daydream. There are a few other, which is a VR experience. There are all kinds of apps that Google has included on the Pixel that it's almost stock Android, but it's made by Google. So this is what Google would want to ship out to every Android device. However, obviously Samsung's got to have the Samsung App Store. Bixby. Curse you, Bixby.
And then not just the Samsung App Store, but Samsung Internet.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
It's supposed to be their version of Chrome, but it's worse. Chrome is way nicer.
The whole point of the Pixel, like, Chrome is just, like, part of the home screen.
Chrome is part of everything.
It is.
Like,
this is
it's like-
Chrome. This is Android is Chrome OS on a mobile device. Why would you use something other than Chrome on an Android device?
And Chrome isn't bogged down with all the weird buttons.
Unless you're one of those weird people who still has to use Firefox because you work in an ancient building office. I've never used Firefox. Firefox has encountered an error.
I tried
Use a dead meme.
I tried Firefox. It was supposed to be nicer in terms of security than Google.
I
but
can
it's
imagine
also
because no one uses it. That's why there's no hackers are gonna hack Firefox. There's no one on Firefox to hack.
All right. The name of this video isn't gonna be budget versus flagship. It's gonna be taking shots at Samsung and Apple.
Yep, because that's all we're doing.
That's what we're doing here.
Anyway, I do think that the premium Android experience that comes on something like a Google Pixel 2, or even the OG Google Pixel, which is also on the same software as the Pixel 2. Google still supports it the same way they support the Pixel 2. Not for much longer. I think that ends in 2020.
Wait.
I think support for the OG Pixel is supposed to end in 2020.
This
ends in like 2020.
Support for like the updates?
They're going to stop updating it in 2020, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Some people will get mad at that, but ultimately in the long term, you have to expect them to stop at some point.
Apple.
If that was the case,
I'm honestly very impressed that the next edition of iOS is supposed to come to the Android.
Come on.
To the iPhone 5S.
Really?
They have stopped supporting the iPhone 5. The SE still has support, and the 5S still has support somehow. Which is the only thing iOS does really well, I would say, is the frequency of updates and the amount of support they give. Even though in every update for the older phones, it slows it down.
Would you rather have regular updates or updates that are actually good? Like, that's an argument I hear for the Apples, for this and the other thing, updates, is like, Google updates slower, but they also take more time to make sure the update is right.
Yeah. Like, on iOS, the intermediary updates do nothing. They're, like, the description is bug fixes on all of them. It's
Just-
only when you get once a year you get iOS 10, iOS 11. Those are meaningful changes and the major additions of the update. iOS 12 is supposed to launch sometime this year. I believe September would make the most sense, but I haven't actually heard anything about that. But that's typically when they launch the updates. So, apparently that's supposed to go to the 5S, but the fact that they were specific in mentioning that comes to the 5S is going to be the last one, I guarantee. So the Android experience on the flagship Pixel 2 and even on Samsung devices and other flagship devices, the updates and the way they manage the OS on those flagship devices is a benefit.
Better than other companies.
Where like Samsung stops supporting their budget models like the J3, which the most recent version of the J3 only came out. The most recent version launched like a year or two ago, and it has no support anymore.
Really?
Yeah, they've stopped manufacturing as soon as as soon as Samsung ends manufacturing on a device, they end update support. But
Samsung is definitely not the king of the budget.
no,
I'm trying to think. If we were to call that,
I think
like,
LG and Lenovo's Motorola line for budget phones are probably where you want to go for budget.
yeah, like the Moto E4. Like despite
like
the
E4,
fact that
the Moto G series,
the Moto G5 was amazing, and the
Yeah.
G6 just came out, didn't it?
I believe so. I haven't heard much about it, so I
Neither have I.
don't want to say anything about it.
I'll have to go watch some videos about the G6
That,
later.
and then you can get the flagship class budget phones like the OnePlus lineup and some of those Chinese manufacturers like you've been seeing
The one.
I'm sure the Oppo and the Vivo Nex are
Oh,
all
yeah.
over the internet right now.
But
For their weird pop-ups.
But the OnePlus,
6.
it's like
It has a more flagship price tag now than the first OnePlus did, but it is still
cheaper than other.
I believe it's about 600.
But that's
6.
about the Google Pixel's price. So if you're gonna pick up the OnePlus, you might as well pick up the Google.
This is $650. So
Might as well pick up the extra $50 for the Pixel.
especially just for this software experience, honestly,
Yeah,
because they
But-
both and the software and the camera. But
but yeah,
I guess we've pretty much beaten software into the ground by now.
yeah. We didn't fully beat hardware into the ground. You might want to
Yeah.
touch up on that again real fast.
Like
there are
so let's go into hardware, but we'll talk about build quality. I'll
Oh,
start.
yeah.
So
Hugo.
the main difference, I believe, one of the biggest differences I believe between a budget and a flagship type phone is the build quality. You like this, just it feels in the hand, it looks, and it just screams quality when you hold it, when you see it. Even iPhones, I hate to say that, but iPhones have pretty okay build quality. I mean, they're made of garbage materials, but for the way they're constructed, they're not bad.
Oh no.
But flagship phones are just,
Well,
that's the thing, is a flagship gives you the build quality, the display quality, the materials they're built out of, except Apple. It's superior to a budget device, which oftentimes have a plastic back, sometimes metal-ish.
I think that my Moto E4 Plus is like metal-ish, sort of.
It might be like a metal on top of plastic.
Yeah.
But you get that plastic. I know your brother one time at Scout Camp had a phone with the plastic with the
Samsung.
faux leather
He has
on top, and he put it in a backpack, and then the back melted. It literally melted in the sun.
It was his S5.
Yeah, his
His
Galaxy S5.
That wasn't like a
Melted.
faux leather. Yeah, I remember that. I remember him sharing that with me.
Yeah.
Dude, that was. I don't even know what to.
That's just sad.
That is sad. Like
you know you have bad quality when it melts from the sunlight.
phones should not melt.
Like, it wasn't even sitting
indirect
in the
sunlight.
sun. It was in a bag.
But was it in a bag in the sun?
I believe the bag was in the sun.
Or like
but it's
was
still
it
in a bag.
Yeah. And then wait. It was that hydration pouch that got stolen from him, wasn't it? Or no, I wasn't. You weren't on that trip, were you?
I wasn't on that one, I don't believe. I was at a different camp when the one melted, but
No, it wasn't that trip because he
Yeah.
didn't have an S5
it was at
then.
summer camp.
He didn't have an S5
I
then.
believe it was at summer camp 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Anyway.
2 years ago, he was at Claytor Lake.
Yeah, that's when it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, it was it was 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
2 years ago I worked at summer camp.
Yeah, and it just melted. It's
just-
like
Why?
this is not going to melt.
Well,
It's made of glass and metal, glass and steel.
My-
It's not going to just fall apart. Like dropping it is one thing, but sitting on the ground, it is not going to break. Unlike some of the
cheaper budget
cheaper
phones.
devices. Plus,
like the Samsung
Yeah.
J3 we were just talking about.
right, like it has. I have a friend who has that. He has had 3 J3s in the last year and a half because he keeps breaking them when he drops a bag on the ground and it breaks, or he had it on a table and fell into the table and it fell off and broke from like just a little table. Like, it's one thing to drop it on concrete, but it fell onto the carpet of his bedroom floor from his dresser and it broke.
It
into
broke
several pieces.
on carpet.
Yeah, like the whole thing broke. Not just the screen, the whole device broke.
Like, we're not just talking, back popped off and you can put it back on.
No, like it was bent. The whole chassis was bent. The screen was shattered, don't get me wrong, obviously. But it was bent.
What? The thing bent from dropping from dresser height onto the floor. How tall is his dresser?
I don't believe it. It's obviously not a foot, because anything can survive, because it should be able to survive that. So it must be tall, but it was not like
Neck height, like
sky high.
it wasn't like the neck or the head type.
No.
Like waist-ish?
Maybe maximum chest height.
Really?
So it's just a testament to the higher end devices just are made of better materials and have stronger chassis. They're just designed to last.
Okay.
You'll get much more longevity both through the software and the hardware of a flagship device. It'll last you longer. So if you're the kind who likes to spend a lot of money now and just it last a long time, always go for a higher end flagship device, because that is a major thing about flagships. So
Time to talk
build
about
quality.
Time to talk about build quality on the budget phone. Like you said, it's like a majority of the time they're plastic or there's some kind of stuff like that. Mine might be some kind of metal. I'm not 100%
If it is
certain.
metal, it's just aluminum.
It's not good
Or
metal.
the Brits, aluminium.
Now,
Even if it's metal, it's not. It's a cheap metal.
Now, specifically, I'll be talking about, like, this phone in particular. Like, this one has, like, I think it might actually not be glass. It might be plastic or on here. Because while it feels like it should be glass, I've dropped this thing easily more than 10 times in the couple months I've had it.
There's no way they put Gorilla Glass on a budget.
Yeah, no way. This thing has yet to break on me. Now, while, again, he's right, budget phones in terms of other forms of build quality will give you longevity. If you're going to talk about pure being able to drop it and it'll survive, the Moto E4 Plus at the least has definitely survived drop after drop, and I have not gotten a single crack. Scratches most definitely, but a crack, no. But one thing that is different about budget devices versus flagships is we actually get removable bags. Now, in recent years, removable backs haven't been as big of a deal. No one's really changing their batteries anymore like they used to. If you're going to do that, you've either got quick charging, special technology in the phone to ensure long battery life, or a power pack is usually on you at all times. Like, you actually have a power pack. That's right.
I believe.
He's got like a bag full of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got
Power
enough.
pack.
You got enough stuff in there for a whole "What's in my bag" video.
Probably.
I don't have enough stuff for that. What's this
is
one?
My 20,000 milliamp hour Anchor battery pack.
You know
This
what kind?
thing,
Do you know like what version of the Anchor? Like they usually have some.
I believe it's the Anchor Power Core 20,000 milliamp
20,000.
hour edition.
Nice.
This thing,
That
it's
made
it
of
weighs
metal.
several tons.
It's made of metal, right?
It is full metal construction. No, never mind. Scratch that. It is plastic,
Really?
but it's thick plastic.
That feels like good. That doesn't feel like cheap quality plastic. That's
No,
like
that is like
high
plastic.
quality. This has turned into a more budget versus flagship, hasn't it? This is beyond that now.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is like
What most people will have.
most
on them
people
now.
have this. You don't need a removable back, so you can swap out your batteries.
Especially when these things.
Yeah,
have
you just
the quick
charge. Yeah, this I charge it every night, but sometimes I'll forget to charge it. And like last night, my Pixel Buds, which I brought here for a different event we're doing, were dead, and I plugged them in all night because they don't charge as fast. But this, I plugged in this morning, and after the 15 minutes it took me to get ready and play play around a PUBG, it was at 75%.
What?
Yeah.
Was it what was it on before you plugged it in?
I believe it was on like 15 maybe max because I'd been watching YouTube all night before I went to bed.
Dude, that is fast. My phone has like definitely an example of where the quality is definitely worse. I've only had this thing for I can't even remember. A couple months. Like I'm trying to think of the time frame. I don't know, 3 to 6 months maybe. This thing already charges slow.
Yeah.
I plug it in from like 5% at night, 11:30 at night. I get up at 7 a.m. I don't wake up to a full charge, 70-80%.
The other thing with this is the pure battery life of it. I know you get crazy battery.
Oh yeah, like my phone. How many milliamp
This is 44,000 milliamp hour battery.
Wait.
A lot.
4,000.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that high. That's actually not far from mine. Mine is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery.
I believe the Pixel 2 XL has. It might be that has 4,000. This is 3,500.
I think it's a 5,400. Or no.
Yeah.
It might be over 6,000, I think.
Yeah, the XL is crazy. But you end up getting similar battery life due to the larger display
and the
consuming more power.
Yeah.
But it still ends up. The battery life on this is crazy. It charges so fast.
What?
But that battery isn't nothing.
They claim like what? 15 minutes or something of charging, and it's like
for
2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours? Same thing on my Bose. It's like 15 minutes, 2.5 hours of listen time.
I get really good battery life on this. It lasts me all day, every day. And that's with crazy amounts of Reddit surfing and Googling and YouTube watching for an hour before I go to bed every night.
Really? You use it that crazy?
I use it a lot. Yeah. Now, oftentimes I'll plug it in for 10 minutes periodically throughout the day when it becomes available, but I don't need to. The only thing that I can't stand about this with the charging is it does have a low power mode that I have to set to turn on at 15%.
Same.
However, when it does that, all the bottom bars and stuff, which are normally clear, turn to a bright red.
Red? Mine's orange.
Bright red.
Mine's
I can't
orange.
stand it.
It annoys me too. It's the same thing. That's like an Android.
The top and the bottom turn bright red, and it's the worst.
Why? That seems like it would actually drain more power.
Well, it's because typically it's clear, so you see your background.
Yeah.
Which oftentimes is a high resolution image. Like
the orange isn't high res or anything.
Yeah, it's just red. And red honestly is a low power consuming color. Like if it were blue, it would be taking a crazy amount of power, but red takes very little power to.
Do you have like the night mode or whatever?
I have it. Night mode turns on at 10 o'clock.
I think mine turns on at 10 o'clock too. Like it shifts the blue screen.
It shifts all the blue pixels to red.
It shifts it to like this nice like tan orangey shift.
It makes it so the pixels become red, but it doesn't turn the whole screen red.
The point is to deduct the blue light so that in the later hours when you're going to bed, you have more. It's easier to fall asleep because the blue light from your phones it's like keeps you up at night. You know that you've heard of that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was happy when that came to iOS 11 on my old phone.
It took them until iOS 11 to get that?
It did.
How long had Android been doing that before then? I knew that.
I'm not sure, but it's been a while.
And could you even download an app for it on the iOS?
You can't download any apps on iOS that modify the functionality of the device. You can't download other camera apps,
So
You can't download. I'm surprised Apple allowed Google to put the Google Play Store on iOS.
wait, that's a thing?
You can download the Google Play Store on iOS.
Yo,
Yeah.
that was always one of my bigger gripes with gripes, I believe is the appropriate word. With the iPhone is that you couldn't. Is that I wish they would ditch the Apple App Store.
I don't mind the App Store.
Like
I didn't mind it. I thought it worked well. But however, they just had such a limit, such a control over everything that was on it.
Google's more.
Google is like, do whatever. If you break your phone, your problem.
Yeah, that like the whole
Apple
whole
is
rooting
like,
thing,
yeah,
all that.
And Apple doesn't want you to do anything that could possibly change the functionality of the phone past what they want.
Can't you jailbreak the iPhone?
You can,
Jailbreaking
but it
is like
voids every sense of a warranty
that you've got.
you could imagine.
But is jailbreaking on the iPhone? I don't know too much about that. It's
does
the same
allow
thing as
you-
like rooting on an Android, right?
I believe so.
It
It basically allows you to do all. It doesn't add features per se. It just takes away the anti-features that Apple has, like how you can't arrange your apps in whatever order you want. You can't have 1,000 pages with one app on each page.
Wait, you can't do that?
You can't, like, they limited how many apps you could have in a folder. There all kinds of things that just, like, why?
Why would they limit how many apps you can put in a folder?
Why? But they did. I believe they've either upped or gotten rid of the limit by now. But when they first had folders, it was like you could have 4 apps in a folder.
See, this is what I think about Apple, and all you Apple users out there, you're probably gonna hate me for this. I want Apple to fail as a company.
Me too.
Like-
Not because I want them to not exist. Because I want them to have a massive crash, so they have to do something
To fix what they've done wrong.
they have to
I would agree on that.
fix.
They could have done good. They could do good. And you know what? And I always say this whenever I say I hate iPhone. Give Apple credit where credit is due. They did help form the modern smartphone that we have today with the original iPhone.
Steve Jobs was a terrible person. He was a jerk. But he did a lot for the, not just phone, but for the entire tech industry as a whole. He would steal ideas, don't get me wrong. The keyboard and mouse
It wasn't
combo that was the biggest thing, and the idea of Windows and all that type software.
Apple technically came up with the keyboard and mouse.
They didn't come up with
They
it.
stole it.
They were the
but
first people to use it.
Okay,
But
that's
Steve
what I mean.
Jobs
Like
got
they,
these ideas,
they were
that
the,
idea.
They were the first to employ it onto like computers, but they didn't come up with it. They stole it.
Steve Jobs Apple was just getting into it with the Apple II at the time, and he was invited to go to to see the research facility for. I'm not gonna say it because I know I'm gonna get wrong the name of the company. The company still exists, but
Definitely
and
not
they
IBM.
had no, it wasn't IBM. But they had a setup of a keyboard and a mouse, and he looked at it and he's like, "This is cool." This company was calling it the point and click graphical interface, and it's like that's a stupid name. No one's gonna buy that. And the company said through their research of their market research, no one wanted this. Steve Jobs is like, well, I know why no one wants it, because you're marketing it terribly. So he takes the idea, goes home to Apple, builds his own, calls it the mouse, and it sells like wildfire, and claims it all as his own ideas. Same with the